Imagine checking your phone on a Friday night, seeing an invitation, and instantly feeling exhausted. You politely decline, change into comfortable clothes, and double lock your front door. Outside, the world is loudly rushing, chasing temporary thrills and constant social validation. Inside your quiet house, you feel an unshakable, profound sense of absolute safety. Society labels you as antisocial, boring, or someone who has simply given up on life. But what if your deep desire to stay home isn't a retreat from reality? It might actually be a deeply calculated, brilliantly designed psychological shield. The root of this peaceful isolation traces directly back to the hidden survival tactics of Gen X. Picture an ordinary street cornerback in the late 1970s or early 80s. A young child walks home from school completely alone, a heavy metal key hanging around their neck. They unlock an empty house, pour their own cereal, and sit in total silence. There are no digital devices, no helicopter parents, and no immediate emotional support waiting. This latchkey kid learned very early that the outside world was highly unpredictable and chaotic. To survive, they transformed their bedroom into an absolute fortress of control and predictable comfort. Decades later, that child has grown up, but the psychological need for a fortress remains unchanged. This striking behavioral contrast reveals a powerful truth about the resilient generation of Gen X. You do not avoid the public world because you are genuinely afraid of people. You retreat because you're deeply tired of maintaining a protective, performative mask. Your childhood required you to be highly independent, hypervigilant, and entirely self-reliant. You spent decades navigating massive technological shifts, economic crashes, and intense social changes. Your home has become the only physical space where you are not required to fix everything. It is the single place where you do not have to manage external chaos. Psychology tells us that our brains naturally seek environments that offer total emotional regulation. For older Gen X, the public square has historically felt like a place of constant demand. You were taught to suffer silently, work incredibly hard, and never ask for help. Staying home is your subconscious mind's clever way of finally quiet quitting that exhausting performance. It is a brilliant coping mechanism designed to preserve your strictly finite mental bandwidth. You are not hiding away in a dark prison of lonely isolation. You are actively resting inside a sanctuary of your own beautiful, hard-earned design. Take a slow, deep breath and let that realization completely wash over you. Let's look closely at how this internal blueprint functions in your modern daily life. Think of the sudden wave of relief you feel when plans get unexpectedly canceled. You celebrate the empty evening like you just won a massive, valuable prize. Consider the deep discomfort you experience in crowded restaurants or highly performative corporate social events. You find yourself overanalyzing the forced conversations, the shallow interactions, and the bright, noisy lights. You count down the exact minutes until you can legally and politely escape back home. The outside world drains your battery, but your quiet living room completely recharges it. Alternatively, this preference for solitude can trigger a phenomenon known as protective detachment. This is a very real emotional state where you proactively choose peace over connection. You remember a chaotic childhood where relying on adults led directly to deep disappointment. Your young mind realized that controlling your immediate environment was the only path to safety. So, you maintain that tight control today by limiting your exposure to unpredictable social circles. You selectively choose your spaces because your emotional peace is no longer up for negotiation. Now, let us pause for a moment and reflect on your past social interactions. Think about the years you actively forced yourself to be the life of the party. Remember the hollow, completely drained feeling in your chest while driving home past midnight. You spent hours making others feel comfortable while your own anxiety was quietly skyrocketing. You realized that trading your precious peace for shallow popularity was a terrible bargain. That was the exact moment your love for staying home began to deeply mature. You decided that honoring your true nature was infinitely better than pleasing a crowd. But here is the profound twist you might not have fully recognized yet. Your deep love for staying home doesn't mean you are incapable of connection. In fact, it usually means your standard for genuine connection is incredibly high. Because you refuse to waste energy on shallow small talk, you hold out for depth. You are not antisocial. You are simply an expert at filtering out life's unnecessary noise. You would rather have a deep conversation with one person than stand in a room of 50. Your empty social calendar is a conscious luxury, not a tragic failure of your personality. The world will always try to sell you the lie that noise equals happiness. They want you to believe that a busy life is a successful life. They push the exhausting narrative that you must constantly consume, network, and be seen. But the most psychologically resilient people are always those who can sit quietly alone. Your quiet home is a testament to your immense inner strength, not a weakness. You have built a beautiful life that doesn't require constant applause to feel validated. When you stop apologizing for your boundaries, you finally unlock true, unshakable freedom. You find joy in simple rituals, quiet mornings, and the beauty of uninterrupted time. The massive energy you used to waste pretending is now entirely yours to keep. You are creating a life of peaceful substance rather than an empty public show. You do not need to force yourself into a loud world just to prove you belong. Stop feeling guilty for loving your quiet couch, your hobbies, and your beautiful solitude. Trust your instinctual boundaries, protect your mental space, and value your independent way of living. The right people will always understand your need to retreat, and they will respect your fortress. Until then, remember that loving your own home is a quiet superpower very few ever master.